Also, FOMO, Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Yeah, bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got HEX, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. This is Wells only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what HEX has done. Boom. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. HEX agents, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. Alrighty then. What's up, homies? Hope everybody is having an outstanding Tuesday. And sorry about last night. Had a little last second speed bump there that caused me to cancel. So I appreciate y'all for coming through on the second go around. And we're gonna get right to it. I hope everybody is having a good one though. Especially if you're in the Northeast, because today is like spring out there. I don't know what's going on, but it's like it's not April, even though it is, right? So, I don't know, man. A whole lot of action going on, you know. What's up, Crypto Journeyman? Hope you're doing well, brother. Wes Scott, you killing them in the streets, bro. You keep doing your thing, man. What's going on, Thas? Hope you're doing well, brother. T-Time, what's good, bro? And yeah, you know, y'all subscribe to the Substack because eventually it's gonna just be consistent content coming out, and you know, the objective is to put the knowledge in written form so that it's actually consumable, and people don't have to be sifting and searching through streams to find whatever's good. You know, so that's the idea beyond that, because everything's already in video, but you know, I didn't really do a good job of timestamping and none of that. So unless you know exactly where it's at and all of that, you know, you're really not going to be able to find the material unless you really want to sit there and do what people should be doing with our HS streams, which is watching all the old ones so that you can actually learn how to do crypto. Because I'm going to be straight up with y'all. He gives it all away in his streams. I mean, the man has endless hours of streams where he's just talking about everything. It's crazy. It's a gold mine. What's going on, David, brother? Hope you're doing well. DJ and Dougie, what's good on me? Mel Tony, hope you're doing well. Big Bud Wolf. You might want to change that, homie. You might want to change that. Man, you know somebody was going to drop that one on you eventually. Mobius was good. What's going on, bro? Yeah, just in time. Mango Junkie, hope you're doing well, brother. 10 Top, what's up, man? Yes, we are blessed because of HEX. That is true. Anyone here know who done told you? Man, I don't know, but I think everybody and their mama done told everybody at this point. Cause Hex is just in that mode already. I mean, you see people selling it, and the market just doesn't care, and it's a beautiful thing. You see the liquidity pools go up crazy amounts, and we'll go over the charts later on. I think they're right below 50% right now, but that was yesterday. That shit changes all the time. That could change in the drop of an instant. So hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to put these charts real time. I just don't got the time to do all that right now, and that's a time sensitive endeavor. I'm gonna find out what it would take to actually do that, because these charts are good enough. So yeah, everybody, what's going on, Chris J? Everybody done told you. You already know that is the song. So yeah, guys. Again, thank everybody. Thanks everybody for showing up. Um, there's so much going on right now, and the reason for that is because that's the point. As always, it's all about misdirection. Um, Not letting you see kind of what's going on, even though it's happening in your face, because there's so many things going on. So the idea behind me doing these written things is for these points in time to be essentially recorded in writing as well as in video. Because as I was saying earlier, it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on, especially when they're really done. They just don't stop uh changing their their approach, right? I mean, you got to realize at some point that hold on, guys. You just got to realize at some point that what we're contending with, aka the enemy, really just has no interest in quitting. And that's primarily because they have no reason to. What are the consequences, right? What are the consequences? And that's just what it is, right? The consequences are death or jail or worse. And yeah, there's worse than jail. And there is worse than death, believe it or not. Um, so, these people don't really have much of an option. They essentially have to do what they're doing. Um, how else does the Treasury Secretary of a country sit there and pretend that they don't know what financial statements are and make the statements that they're making? Seriously, right? I mean, no more crises in our lifetime. And as soon as she becomes a U.S. Treasury, banks start collapsing left and right. I mean, do you think that's a coincidence? Well, good luck to you, because you're going to need it. But there is no coincidence in that fact, right? And essentially, the gist of this entire little piece here is for people to become aware that all of the things that we're seeing are not what they seem, right? They would love for everyone to believe that these bank collapses are a function of piss poor banking. But as I've relayed numerous times, banks are bankrupt by default. They are designed to operate that way. So, what exactly is unique about that one bank or two or those few banks that fell at that point in time? And I mean, of course, with enough research, we could find out, in one night. But who got time for that when we all know that's not even the end? We know these banks are just the beginning, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like I told you guys before. You do not want to go walk up to a bank to pretend to think you're going to get all of your money out of there, because it's just not going to happen. It's just not. If something like that does happen, the astute thing to do is to wire out your funds. Period. Do not ACH. Do not do any of the slow transactional stuff. Wire it out. You want the bank to send that message to the receiving side so that they know that those funds are out. Period. And they record that transaction. That's what you need. Otherwise, that money is definitely going to disappear. So that's what you do in scenario that you end up residing in a jurisdiction where you happen to have a local bank, because yeah, it's convenient if we all have to have money in a bank. I don't have a physical bank to go to, so I know exactly the limitations of having an only an online bank. I deal in cash. That's it. It don't hit the books from their standpoint, because there's no way for me to upload it. If you want to call it that, I don't even know. Deposit it, right? That would be the term. There's no way for me to deposit that, and if there is, I guess I haven't looked hard enough. Um, so at the end of the day, a lot of people are gonna wake up one day and not be able to use cash, which in all honesty is a tall order given our societal structure, which is why I think they have to destroy everything, including their currency, in order to be able to pull off the stunt that they're trying to pull off. This is why you will own nothing and be happy. You got to really look at the narrative that they're pitching and the angle that they're taking. They really don't hide anything. And I've showed that time and time again. So, the objective is for you at this point in time to become the individual that sees the writing on the wall. We're at a point in time where you cannot rely on people on YouTube to tell you what's going on, because the message on YouTube is not my message, which is the right message, which is beware of those trying to sell you something, right? I mean, for all of the things that happened during the pandemic had money behind them. Period. Every single instance. Defibrillators, you not being able to take certain drugs or hear about them, and only being able to do certain drugs and take fake jabs and all this shit. All that was literally a function of censorship. And it's public record. So you can go look it up. And I said it was when I was saying it in 2021, and people didn't want to believe me. But after Twitter files, your asses can't say shit now, can you? No, you cannot. So go look it the fuck up, because it's out there. And as an adult, pretending to want to play an adult, pretending to want to be in crypto, you should know what those that want to oppress your freedoms and basic rights are doing. You should know what your enemy is doing. I don't understand why this is some fucking nuanced thought process. Like, know what the fucking enemy is doing. What the fuck is wrong with you? Period. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. This is real simple. And people out here pretending like nothing is going on. And I'm going to tell you what, you can pretend all you want. But if you look outside, you see carjackings are up, robberies are up, muggings are up. So you keep on pretending ain't shit happening all you want. It's coming to your door whether you like it or not. Because that's the world we live in. The world that you're allowing to develop. Because you want to ignore shit. And this is no scolding, it's just the facts. Because we all play a part. I'm doing my part by letting your asses know what's going on. Because people don't know for whatever reason. I don't know. Or maybe you just want to hit a message and think about how there's another way to relay it to others out there. Because I'm going to tell you, people will act aloof. And I'm going to tell you what, you don't want to waste your time with those that don't want to save themselves. You only want to deal with those that are ready. Because we're past that point in time of waking people up. Those that are ready and willing and able, they're waiting for a messenger. That's where we're at. And that's something that we, as a community of humans, gotta understand. Right? Because look, I keep quitting, I don't want to stream, I don't want to do this, and I can't not fucking ring the bell. I can't stop. Right? This is what drives me, because all the financial shenanigans are directly related to what's going to happen to everybody, because that's how it works. I mean, this is not a coincidence that all of these food processing plants and whatever the hell, refineries, I mean, whatever you want to process, It's not a coincidence that these places, these locations are all getting burned down. Bill Gates is the largest landowner, largest farmland owner. All these places that process food, refined petroleum, this, that, and the third, burning down. I mean, what is this? The 1850s, 1890s? What's going on? Why is this happening? Why is it that nobody cares? Why is it that nobody finds it odd that society is always taking L's? I mean, this is again, look up the law of averages, law of large numbers, whatever law you want to look at, all statistical, whatever. I'm not even trying to get all quantitative on you. But at the end of the day, it's literally impossible that an experience is strictly negative throughout an entire lifetime. Because if you look at your own individual life, it has its ups and downs. It is not just down. Even the homeless people had good points in time, period. So it is unconscionable to consider that what we are living is factually sensible. No, we're being duped into this mass psychosis where we think what we get paid in is money, where we think we have to allow foreign materials into our body to taint our DNA, to taint our being, to taint our abilities, in fact. I mean, we don't even know what we are as human beings. We're still trying to figure out how to fucking transfer value, and people think that they're fucking advanced. This is the funny shit. This is why I laugh at people. Motherfuckers can't sit here and read some fucking 5-paragraph bullshit that I write, but they smart as fuck. They so smart, they can't even fucking surmise what the damn headline means of this stupid ass article. When I've been saying the same thing for years on end. And these are the smart people. These are the people that society is going to tell you that's the guy that knows. Not that guy. He ain't got no little letters and shit at the end of his name. And I didn't want them on purpose. I had a full ride to get all the letters I wanted. And I said, fuck off. Don't need that shit. Because all the motherfuckers with them letters was not teaching me nothing when I was trying to learn. That's what I realized. I literally remember sitting in the economics class. And mind you, it was my first one, so I didn't know shit. I'm from the hood. I'm dead ass asking this professor, yo, you an economist? Like, because that's what I was thinking. I'm going to be an economist. That motherfucker looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, nah, bro, I don't even remember what the fuck he did. I don't remember. I don't remember what his answer was. I just remember that I was shocked to death that this motherfucker thought he was teaching me some shit. And look, that's not to say I can't learn from another man. However, don't stand up there like you got a clue when you just pulling it from the book like me, motherfucker. I knew more than him already at that point. He wasn't teaching me shit, which is what prompted that question. So, and the thing is that in life, it's hard for us to realize that that's pretty much every instance. I mean, the monetary experts are acting. They're playing a role. The Federal Reserve chairman is not an astute individual in the sense that you would think. He is an astute actor, for sure, because he has everybody fooled in thinking that he's actually conducting financial matters. No, he's not. He's literally doing his best to destroy the financial system, along with the Treasury Secretary. That's their objective. They tried to do it while Trump was in office. Couldn't do it. I mean, don't forget that it's on record that a ton of politicians were selling stock prior to Rona. So it's not like it's not on record. So, no, I'm not making this up. These are facts, as always. And that's the whole point, right? We live a life where it's like the shit that we see doesn't happen. We know it happens, and motherfuckers I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just me or what, but It's just crazy to me how we pretend like criminals aren't on telling people how to live their lives. And to hell with the people that are too dumb to figure it out. They don't matter anyway because they're just gonna let us do whatever we want, just like they're letting them do whatever we want. I mean, that's what's going on. Currency mousetrap. Why? Why we gotta deal with that? Because that's where we're at. We literally are facing a currency mousetrap. And if you're not, and excuse me for a second, and if you're not in tune with the monetary system and the farce that it is and all of that, you're liable to fall into the sand trap, unfortunately. And the question is, will you be able to get out of it if you fall into it? That's a question that even I don't have the answer to because I don't know what it's going to look like. And shout out to all the homies out in Europe. Thank you for coming through, Richie. Just happened to look up, and that was that message. Shout out to all you guys. Balia, D'Artagnan. Shout out to all you guys, man. You guys steady coming through. It's been 2 whole years I've been doing this shit, and you guys steady coming through. So I appreciate y'all. Um, we have banks, institutions falling apart under our jurisdiction. Left and right. And the problem isn't that. In fact, the problem is that people don't understand that that's a good thing. That's the actual problem. Because what that does is that it returns the autonomy to us, the individuals, because we don't need middlemen. We need to learn how to be adults and how to have integrity and how to be responsible for our damn selves and not be scamming each other left and right. But that's what people like to do. So you do have to defend yourself against that at all times. In New York, you have a motherfucker walk up to you every day, all day, scam you a million times a day. So you gotta just, no, say no all the time. Don't matter. Could be somebody with the lotto tickets. You're just gonna have to sacrifice it because the odds are too high against scam. Like, what you gonna do? Sad fact. It's like them dudes that do them pranks, right? Where they really out there trying to hand out money to like prove how people are or whatever. But it's like, yeah, bro, everybody's out here trying to scam you. So you people gotta be like that. So yeah, they're not gonna accept your money or whatever you're trying to gift. Like, what are you, stupid? You gotta be pretty dumb to not get that. Because yeah, clearly every homeless person or whatever isn't gonna be like that. But everybody ain't homeless out there that's homeless asking for money. And that's the thing that people like that don't get because they not street smart. They just fucking dumb. They're not really paying attention to the big picture. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you gotta know your limits. And that's when shit is wrong, when you don't know your limits. So we find ourselves at this point in time where countries are coming out and saying, F the US, man. Like, we good. We done with that. And they're not being shy about it anymore. Before it was just China and Russia talking about it in headlines, little vague threats. Now that they're out here teabagging it, they just dropping the balls in people's mouth. Like, yeah, we're just not doing dollars no more. What you gonna do? That's what's going on, right? That's where we're at. And it's important to understand that because the implications behind that are pretty tremendous, right? And Americans, for one, cannot fathom what's coming because they think that this is the end of the inflation for whatever reason. What's the upside to inflation? Can there be a limit? And I think if you've been paying attention to international finance for the past 20 years, the answer to that is no. There are no limits. Period. And it's like I tried to explain previous stream before. Well, probably numerous streams, but whatever. What happens when a reserve currency is no longer the thing? It's no longer the reserve. What happens? And it's again, it's math, guys. And I'll show it to you in a little bit. just so you can see the impact of how drastic the problem is. Because I don't think people really grasp the severity of the situation at hand. I don't think they do. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, God bless us, because we're going to need it in the meantime, right? If you're a working individual, you living paycheck to paycheck, you hustling up every week, no matter what you're doing, what the situation is. If you don't have the lifestyle that you wanted to have, let's hope everything gets nipped in the bud before things actually do turn, uh, over the cliff. Because we're gonna be the ones fending for ourselves. Ain't nobody gonna fend for us. I mean, that's just where we're at. And it is what it is. Best thing you can do is prepare and come to terms with the reality, because we got countries straight up in people's faces. China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia straight up was like, "Hey, man, we gonna cut this output, and we gonna see this price rise, and we gonna watch y'all crush yourselves because y'all dumb." That's ultimately what's going on, literally at this point in time. No questions asked. Because what's happening? Well, let's take a look at St. Louis Fed. Let's take a look at the velocity of money as a function of a rate of change. Because it's important that people understand how bad this shit is. It's not cute at all. You see this chart a lot, but this ain't the chart that matters. Uh, oh man, these people are so crazy. All right, let's see. Okay. So what's going on? So for the past 2 decades, really three, wait, really four, pretty much since before I was born, we've been dealing with the same issue, right? And basically the expansion of credit. Um, and the thing about that expansion of credit is that it's been disguised to look a certain way. Um, and unfortunately for us, we got to realize that the majority of the working population uses credit, and in a lot of cases, the majority are not using it to their benefit. And what I mean by that is that they're not using it like cash. That's really the best way. Also, quick pause. Clearly not a credit expert, but I know a little bit. A few things you should know. What comprises your credit score? 40 points comprise your credit score. Did you know out of those 40 points, only 7 impact your score negatively? I think it's 7 or 8. I can't remember if it's 7 or 8, but it's only 7 or 8 actions that you could take that negatively impact your credit score. That means that out of the 40 points, you have 32 to 33 opportunities to increase your credit score. So that's something you should look into if you have bad credit and are trying to improve it, because it's just a tool like everything else. The problem is when you don't know how to use that tool. You got to learn how to use all the tools at your disposal. Even, having an LLC or, corp or whatever fits your situation. There's a power behind that, and you got to learn what that power is. Why do you think all these entities are out here telling us how to live? Because they think they can, but reality they can't. Because you can do the same exact thing and tell them to fuck off, just like they're trying to tell us how to live. That's the power in reading that I've learned, right? And a lot of people have the ability to do it and don't do it because they don't know. I really, it behooves you to really look into the things I talk about. Definitely not out here sharing it for my benefit. I already know this crap. These are powerful bits of information that are going to benefit you as an individual. And of course, the wealthier you are, odds are you already know this stuff, because money definitely equals problems. Doesn't really add anything, it just adds stress. So let's look at this real quick. What are we looking at? We're looking at a horizontal zero line that's all the way up here, right? Now, the important thing to note is that the lows, really going back all the way to the beginning of this chart, and this is going back to 60, right? 1960. All of these lows are persistently lower over time. Okay. And the problem with that isn't so much just that alone. The problem, overall problem, is that you got a bunch of that, a bunch of lower lows in the rate of change, and a bunch of lower highs over time in the rate of change. I mean, this here is not positive. This is extremely negative, right? And I'll go into that a little bit. But it's important you understand the overall trend, right? Like if I was to draw this, right, what would that look like? Right? Like, let's see. Because this is really the question. What's the trend? Right? Because that's the question. What's the trend? I want to know what the trend is, right? How do I find that trend? And the answer is by drawing little lines on it. As much as people hate the shit, it just works. It is what it is. So overall, right? I mean, that's the general trend right here. Right. And if you connect these dots up here, I mean, that's basically the overall trend, right? And that's clearly not the best, but I'm drawing with the mouse here, so cut me some slack. Let's see if we can darken that up. Nah. Yeah. Let's do this instead. Because that was fugly. All right, that's a lot better. Okay, so as you guys can see, top angle is lower, bottom angle lower, right? And this thing kind of like slipped through the crack, right? But what's happening, right? Because we're talking about a specific thing here. I just wanted you guys to see the trend. This doesn't really matter, but what's happening here, right? That's the question. First of all, this is the velocity of the money. How fast is the money growing, right? Now let's read what they write down here. The velocity of money is the frequency at which one currency is used to purchase domestically produced goods and services. So it's almost like that multiplier effect. So how often, right, is the currency circulating? But when you think about how our currency works, is that really how it's going to be? Is that really the math? Surely is not. That's not the math, right? We've seen from 1997 forward, what have we seen economically speaking, right? Because this has to be the focus. This is how we get to the nook and cranny of the problem, right? It's not by ignoring it, it's by trying to figure out how this even happened. Because what's happening? Everything that's made here is no longer being made here, period. And thank you for the super chat, Batty Brand. Appreciate you, 369, brother. Hope you're doing well out there. But nothing's getting produced here. All the GDP is getting shipped offshore. And where else have we seen that? I've shown you guys that in that chart that I show when you're looking at the growth of GDP versus the rate of change in the value of the dollar, right? And they're inversely correlated. Literally. I should make a freaking chart out of that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. It's gonna look like the damn T-share chart. A straight freaking line. because they're, or probably the opposite way though, because they're inversely correlated, negatively correlated. So they should be angled like this instead of like the T-share versus hex correlation, which is a right angle line, a 45-degree angle line from lower left to upper right. That correlation chart would actually be, uh, what's the opposite? 135 degrees, I guess. I'm not good. I've never been good with trig, so don't quote me on this shit here. But subtract 90 degrees from 45 minus 135. Whatever that is. I don't know. Whatever. Google it. That would be the number there, right? And it would be a line going like this. Upper left to bottom right, because that's the pattern. Nothing positive. And that's just what it is. So look, not trying to beat a dead horse, right? It's important we understand that because all of the domestic production was moved offshore, there could be no money growth. All the jobs went with it, all the lending went with it, all the circulation of money to any activity at any point in that operation, from something being plucked from the earth to be produced, to be made, to put into something, to you buying it at the store, all that shit was stripped and sent offshore. Period. That's what this chart is showing. Velocity of money. Okay. But look at how they define it though. Like, nah, it's all good. It's some fake shit. Don't even worry about it. That's how they define it. But that's clearly not what's going on. And I just proved it by just talking to you. Didn't need the little funky definition. And this is the reality of economics, right? I mean, this is why I just didn't bother with that shit. But anyways, let's get back to this. Right? Again, we got this lower, this uh negatively sloped lower end angle, right? And a negatively sloped upper end angle as well, right? But again, what is this showing us? Because this is really the whole Sorry about that, guys. Give me a second. Right, but these little tidbits, man, they matter. They matter a lot. Because this is how I've constructed all these thoughts. Because I didn't go to school for none of this. There is no school for any of this. Um, again, money's leaving. It's not staying here. It's going overseas. Right? This is what's really happening. Right? And what happened here? We all know what happened here. We all saw it. The biggest money printing in history. In history. 40% of all currency units in existence were printed at this point in time. And before that, it was 2008. And before that, it was 2000. I mean, we all know these things happened, but we just didn't ever look under the hood. But when we look under the hood, this is what we find: massive money printing, massive money laundering. This is really what that is. Because we're not seeing a single cent of it. Where is this money going? It's not going to our pockets. It's not going to our domestic economies. None of that is happening, right? And we know it's not. We see it. If you live in rural America, odds are you've had to move from a town or two. Or that town maybe became a ghost town. That's so common. I mean, in New York State, that's common. There's a lot of towns like that here. IBM is a major employer in New York State. I was just telling somebody that maybe 2 days ago. I mean, we're at the beck and call. I mean, we're living. Slavery never ended. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, but this is again a function of that. We the economy functions off of what we allow ourselves to be manipulated into. And this is what's happening, right? So what's the implication of all of this? We had the velocity of money go negative to the tune of almost 25%, right? Meaning essentially nobody wanted it. Nobody and their mama wanted it, right? Nobody. Now everybody wants the dollar, though. Ain't that something, right? Now, for what is this? Q4 of last year, the velocity was 7%, 7.1, right? What was the last time you got close to that? Oh, that's an all-time high. It ain't never been that high. All-time high in the velocity of money, higher than Q1 1979. Now, we're going to take a look at some charts next, because we got to compare and contrast, right? We got to call out the facts, man. This is how we do it. So let me tee this bad boy up. Let's get it right. Cause this is about opening eyes, right? And this is what we're good at doing over here, showing these facts and these figures. Because at the end of the day, what else are we showing, right? A bunch of hogwash. Um, Give me a second, guys. Just opening up some stuff here. Okay, cool. All right. Let's pull up this bad boy. Close. Oops. Close that. Close this. And pop this bad boy open here. All right, we're just gonna go straight 55 days. We're gonna get rid of these indicators here. We don't need them anyway. We'll leave the plain old moving average now. 1980. What was the date again? Let me check. Q1 1979. So Q1 1980 is when gold popped. Let's confirm this. Let's go to 3 days. Let's go to date. Come on. What's up, man? Why is this not working? Is it because it's in full or something? Hold on, guys. Let me try something. Why is this shit not working? Huh. All right. Well, make me do it the hard way. That's fine. No complaints. We know all the hacks. Say my first rodeo. Trading view. I got you. All right. So okay, Q1. Okay, this is the end of Q1. Um, holy crap. Okay, guys. So excuse me. Just had one of those random epiphanies I be getting. All right. So we're seeing gold here in the Q1, 241 bucks. Mm. Hold on, can you guys hear me? Ah, never mind. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So back to Q1, right? We see goes 241, but what happens after that? Gold takes off, right? Basically 3x's or whatever, which is a lot. That's a lot in legacy terms because that means the currency, the fiat, uh, you know, it took a L, major L, and that's not something that's supposed to happen, right? So here we find ourselves 20 years later, same scenario. Q4 2022, all-time highs. Gold, though, this is different. It's different this time, as we always make fun of, right? It typically never is. But this time, yeah, it's a little different in the sense that the price is at all-time highs. It's not just lugging around. So this is when you gotta come out and take a big picture look. This thing is about to hurt some people's feelings. End the story. And yes, I will be buying leaps on this motherfucker right here. You'd be crazy not to get some exposure to this. I mean, if you guys want to be out here flipping shit coins, buy you some gold leaps instead. Much better trade. You're welcome. Make a whole lot more X's too. Guaranteed, and you won't even have to think about a rug pull ever in your life. These are the kinds of things that I'm trying to bring to the community. Because, of course, man, we all got to make some money. No doubt. But let's do it. Let's be smart about it. Let's not make dumb decisions with our financials. You know what I'm saying? Let's check this out. Let's look at the big picture. We got volatility becoming depressed in gold. Major picture. Check. Number one. Because lower volatility means higher prices. Because that means that price is only going one way and there's no change. And if we look at the overall picture of this chart, guess what? Up means no volatility all the time because it doesn't really go down that much, right? I mean, if we look at the long-term average of gold by going to, I think it's goldprices.com or .org, I can't remember. You can find it. You'll find the long-term return on gold is 10%, which is better than the stock market. So putting your money in stocks isn't the safe bet. Gold is, by that definition, if you want to use one. But anyways, point being here, we got volatility becoming depressed to the point that it might start trending because we're hitting that flat mark. And that's typically what that means. Implied volatility rank is extremely low. We're not seeing a spike, which is a good sign typically, because typically lower prices come when it spikes. See, when it expands, is what that is, right? And here we got some more vol spiking. Let's get that little thing out the way. But here's vol spiking again. All right, even if the rank didn't spike at the time, but the vol did expand. Um, but again, it's just things to keep aware of because volatility does work two ways. RSI keeps bouncing off the 40, right? It's important. It's finding support there, and it keeps heading above the mid band. Also important. Means we're trending upward, and we're broken the lower angle on this trend line here, so we can even get rid of that. And then we got the MACD, right? It's finally building a positive structure. You got negative divergence here, or positive divergence here, excuse me, with the histograms. Moving average is up, right? Both of them. You got the spread up and it's up strong, right? I mean, you got successive highs across the board. You don't really need to get worried until the MACD turns white, right? That's when you start getting worried about the trend and maybe there's some consolidation or something. That's typically what happens when the white histograms come out in the MACD, right? But we're talking about 21 days here per candle. I mean, this is a strong chart. That thing looks like a 15-minute thing ready to pop, right? I mean, very rarely do you see a 21-day month look like that, right? Like that's crazy, right? So this is a very strong chart. It looks really good, and it's something for people to think about, right? Because it's better than throwing your money in some piss poor, shit coins that you think are gonna pump because some loser told you. Like, do some analysis. You know what I'm saying? Make some money for real. Don't fuck around. And when you put your money in them crypto glory holes, that's really what you're doing. You fucking around. So yeah, this is what's happening right now in the market, right? You got velocity and money all time lows. People getting rid of the dollar all time highs, right? And we seeing it not only in the market, but also in the headlines, right? And this is the thing that's new. That's never happened before. Before it was only the headlines. We got to watch this moving average right here. That 100 level is going to be critical for well, here's a few reasons why it's critical, right? Um, let's get our painting on. Where is this thing? There we go. Right, this is what you would consider a support zone, and then you have the moving average to back it up. You probably can pull it up with some. Let's see here. Yeah, well, look at that. Even the volume profile supports it. And if let me throw some ticks on that. Yep, tick supported as well. Right, so you have all these things supporting this area of 100. Right, if price goes lower, 96 is the ticket. Right, to watch is all about watching. What, bro? You need to rewind. I ain't said nothing about buying gold futures. But yeah, these are things to watch, right? For gold, or not gold, crypto, because crypto clearly operates inversely to that. But as we can see, the dollar is coming. This is a 20, 34-day chart, in fact. So it's very long term, but we're coming into support, what would be considered support. So we got to start watching the MACD. Because, yeah, it's turned, right? But it turned already a few candles ago. And that's what we see when, again, like I pointed out a minute ago, the MACD starts turning white, right? The first thing you want to be cautious of is when you got candles that are trending up, but the histogram don't, because that's supposed to be the delta in the moving average, right? So if the delta isn't increasing, but the price is, what's up with that? That's some type of negative divergence. So you got to be careful with that. And we'll take a look at silver in a minute. But yeah, these are just things to be cognizant of because again, the world revolves around that for now. As of now, the world revolves around that. Let's see what silver's doing because I really haven't looked at that in a while, but that thing gotta be ready to tear by now. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it even has a nice little volume shelf here, right? And you've already bounced off its point of control at 17. If you don't know what point of control is, definitely look into that. Long story short, it's where the most activity has happened in the market. So if you're looking at this chart here, I'm looking at a composite chart for silver, meaning it's combining. You have an amalgamation of every single individual price history that was active on this chart for silver, as long as they track it, right? I don't know what this is. Oh, that's just a headline. So this is, all the volume activity that happened for silver for that period, right? And that period runs 1979, which is what I'm showing here, all this time, through present day, right? And clearly it looks bullish. I mean, longer term chart never lies. And this thing is building up some major inverse head and shoulders. So, and it's double too. So it's going to be some wicked when it does go. I mean, I expect it to actually eclipse previous highs, but we'll see. I think things are definitely going to get funky because they're setting up to be funky, right? Silver leaps look good too, so that's something else to consider if you want to speculate. Because again, that volatility is getting depressed, is compressing. RSI is bullish, MACD just turning bullish, and I mean it went from light red to dark green, right? So you know that thing is just getting started in essence until you see a white MACD, right? Presented itself, which is when we typically have consolidation or some type of reversal. So these are just basic things, guys. These are just basic things to keep an eye on. Here's Hex. What do we got going on with Hex? Give me a second. Get out of that thing by mistake. That's what I wanted to press. So when we look at the daily, it's right in that support zone. Okay. Doesn't mean we can't go lower, right? Because of course somebody could sell. But let's see here. Because that's the thing that's hard about trying to do TA on crypto or real crypto. Um, you can see all the patterns you want. All it takes is one person to come and de-shelf that thought. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can see a bullish pattern you thought you saw, and they can just come and sell that, a million hex and completely change the pattern on that chart. And then what you can do? Whole thesis is out the window. Then what? Right? And that's just how it works. So you got a little negative divergence there, and it's playing out right now. But I think, let's see what the moving average is looking like, and it's looking pretty positive overall, right? You're looking at the big picture and stuff. Let's see if we can get a week on here. I mean, overall, this stuff looks pretty positive. I wouldn't mind a move back to 5, 6 cents. I would not, but I don't think we'll get it. I think that move to 6 is probably as lucky as we're gonna get, and this is, of course, assuming nobody comes out the woodworks and dumps 100 million, right? I mean, if somebody dumps 100 million, that thing gonna do whatever it does, right? It's gonna do whatever it does. Um. Okay, so I just happened to catch a chat. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I missed any questions. Then thank you guys again for tuning in and sticking around. It's already been an hour. I'm gonna get to the hex charts in a minute. I should probably update them before I talk about them because it really doesn't take me that long to do it nowadays relative to before. So I'll do that. Nah, because then I gotta lay him out and all that. Yeah. Man, you know what? It's fine. I could just show it from some other where instead of uploading them on the site. Yeah, I don't. A lot of people like doing that because they view it as leverage for whatever reason. I mean, if you want leverage, just buy, leaps on the actual ETF, or put your big boy pants on and buy some long term futures options. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you want some real leverage, because the thing to understand is when you're doing derivatives, you want to really be long term with it. Because if you're gonna play the game of time in the market, you got to really be sure of what's going on, and that's really all it boils down to. You don't gotta not do it, but you better know what you're doing, and that's really all it is. There's nothing that said. I mean, people are out here again, speculating in crypto that ain't even crypto, right? So it's again just about being smart about it. That's why it's nothing to be like, some silver or gold leaps. Like as long as the system is operational and they don't feel like, and you got a decent broker, you're not at no Robin Hood or what's the other one that's funky? Uh, I don't even know, yo. I don't even know. What the kids are using nowadays, but whatever the kids are using, don't. Go to a regular broker. You know what I'm saying? Where they doing regular stuff and not selling your data or whatever the case is. Just find a good broker. There's plenty out there, and of course it's going to depend on your jurisdiction. So that's also something for you to consider. Let's see. Why is silver more divisible than gold? Well, the thing about it is that you could just find it in greater quantities. It's more pliable. It's just more durable. It does tarnish easier. It doesn't maintain as good as gold. So from that perspective, it's not as solid as gold if you want to go there. No pun intended. Um, it's just more industrial than gold, I guess. But gold is using a ton of stuff too. And I think actually, depending on the industry, I think gold is used more. In fact, I know in computers it's used a ton. I know that for a fact. There are people that live off of buying used computer parts and stripping it of gold because they're definitely going to get more gold out of it than they paid for it. That part, that old computer part that people don't know has gold in it. You know what I mean? Like people just don't be knowing that. Everybody don't know that kind of stuff. So it's just one of those things. Whereas the more you know, the better off you are. But it ain't like that in every instance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, again, I was talking about gold or silver if you want to speculate. I'm not talking about long term investing. I'm talking about speculation, a 1 year, 6 month trade. That's something that can easily generate you 20x. And you don't gotta lose sleep at night. You know what I'm saying? You just chilling. Set it and forget it type of trade. Like those are the type of trades that I like. That's just me. That's why I said that. Kind of like Hex. It's not a coincidence. I'm the Hex guy, quote unquote, whatever. Yeah, appreciate you, brother. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. Sizing up, earning that passive income. Because at the end of the day, you know, you gotta learn how to use that money while you earn that money. A lot of us don't know. Even I'm still learning, right? There's a lot of things that we have to learn with time that we just don't know, right? And there's always something new to learn. We got to be students of this life. We can't close our minds to whatever have you when it comes to information. Like you got to definitely be out here, uh, soaking it in because that's really what it is. More desired. I just say because it's flashier, bro. I mean, that thing yellow. You see gold from afar. You don't see silver from afar. So I'd say, it's just ingrained in us to view it that way. In fact, if I remember correctly, we actually do have blood in our system, or blood, fuck, gold in our blood. If I remember correctly, we got gold somewhere in our bodies. I can't remember exactly where. If I find that information somewhere, I'll relay it. But we definitely got gold in our bodies, yeah. So it's just one of those things. We're somehow connected to that. I don't know. Maybe it goes beyond a regular stream conversation. Who knows? And then we'll be getting to these charts real quick. It's already going on an hour, so I'm gonna just wrap this up. I don't want to go too long, guys. Damn Skippy, baby. Damn Skippy. Yeah, I don't even know what you're replying to, but that shit funny. Yeah, depending what you're doing, it gets a little hairy, right? It definitely gets a little hairy. I mean, I've seen cats put them in these chemical solutions and all that. Yeah, it gets a little crazy. Gets a little crazy. All right, so this is a interesting question because people think we ever left. People think we left the 2008 recession. You know, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but nah, we never left, man. So there's been less people working this whole time, not more, right? I mean, the working population has shrunk. Into my adulthood, it hasn't grown. The American economy has shrunk. It hasn't grown. So you tell me what's going on exactly. And I think maybe I'm wrong. I think this applies pretty much to any Western economy, except for maybe like Colombia or some shit like that. Damn near all Western economies have shrank in the past 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Well, it just is more pliable, man. That thing don't get damaged easy like silver. Silver gets damaged easily. It's not. Gold is durable as F. Gold, silver is not. Silver is just more of a I think it might be more of a electrical conductor than gold. If anything, I'm not even sure about that anymore. I just don't remember. It's been so long since I've studied the fundamentals of either. Um, but that might be the case that silver is more conductive, but I could be wrong. Who knows? I'll do some homework on that and report back because I should know, but I just don't remember anymore. It's just been too long. So yeah, whatever. Shoot me. It's one of those things I've forgotten. Especially after getting into crypto. It's like, come on, who cares? Like I'm just looking at gold from a chart perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's a layup trade, Especially if you're looking at that chart from 15 days on up. Like, come on, man. What are we even talking about? Feel like Allen Iverson right now. Like we talking about practice. You know what I'm saying? Like what we talking about right now? Like how much more obvious can it get? You got an inverse head and shoulder inside an inverse head and shoulder. Like what else you want? How much more free goodies do you need in your April Christmas bag? You know what I'm saying? Like you just got two banging ass free trades that are really just one. So I would only pick one. I'd probably go with silver to be honest with you. But you can't really go wrong with either. You know what I'm saying? If this thing is gonna pop off, it's gonna pop off, man. Hell, let's go back to this 55-day chart. Let's see what silver did last time. Yep, it popped. It popped in Q4 or Q1, 1980, and for the end of Q1, 1979, it was just hitting new highs. Silver was hitting new highs at that point. We're not even hitting new highs yet. We're just setting up to go see new highs. And as you guys know, this market has been, manipulated for a while. And unless you're looking, you're not gonna find where the information is. But the Fed doesn't hide it. Like they say it on it's one of their powers where they actually are expected to lease out gold. And I think JP has silver covered, so they're only doing gold. Yeah, I think that's how it's set up, if I remember correctly. So, you know, um, that's what's going on. And again, hey, ATX, shout out to you, brother, and thank you for having me on the other night. That was a good stream, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, man, it's getting hairy out here. And that's ultimately what it is. I mean, let's look at the stock market. Let's see what the stock market looks like. I mean, how crazy is this? I mean, this is a 55-day chart. This thing looking bullish as hell. I'm mad it looks like this. I can't even say nothing. Let me just get rid of these lines because it don't matter. I mean, look at this. My God. Shorting this thing is a fool's errand, man. Wow. And I mean, look, it really just caught a bid. Like it didn't even hit. It really didn't even recapture its previous support. Well, what should have been its previous support structure. Never really happened. It never really happened. It only went 3502. It really should have went 3200 for it to be safe. But now it's going to be risky. And what that could look like, let's see if we can see it in 2000. I think it happened here, but I don't really remember. Nah, it didn't really happen here. So what I think is gonna happen is that we're just gonna go vertical, basically. I mean, look at this. It looks almost like a bunch of inverse head and shoulders too. Like it almost looks like silver. This is crazy. So, it looks like the dollar's just gonna collapse and everything's just gonna go up. Pick your poison, I guess. I mean, this is insane. I mean, and this is an 8-day chart, right? And when you look at this definitely looks wild bullish. I mean, just from a basic trend line point of view. And this is how I do my trend lines. This is not, I don't know if this is textbook or whatever. I don't know. This is just how I do it. because when I started reading, I kind of figured out that, whatever they do is whatever, and I got to figure it out any damn way. So I just stopped reading. From this perspective, right, it looks kind of like it's already broken out, at least at this stage. Remains to be seen, because clearly we had this type of move happen before, right? Because I highlighted it on a 55-day basis, was it? Or was it 13? Yeah, it was lower. 8-day basis, right? So it's not going to be spot on. So, all right, let's look at these charts. Yeah. And I know I said I was going to update them, but I doubt they're going to look that much different because the price is a little lower anyway, 7.2 cents. But everything is going to be a little bit higher, right? But I guess the overarching theme is that, as always, everything is functioning, right? We don't really got to think about it. And that's really what you want. You don't want to have to think about it, right? So these are things we got to, I mean, this thing looks bullish. It looks like we finally found support here, right? Because I really like seeing these things on the line charts. I don't really like seeing it on the candle charts. The wicks will be misleading. They'll really think you're seeing, you'll feel like you're seeing something, but you're not. So I like the line charts better from that perspective. But it really looks bullish. I mean, we caught this peak. We didn't go below it. We caught it here, right? And we caught it again here. And we're losing stakers to boot. I mean, 9.58 stake hex, 6.2 billion hex. So we're losing that aspect of price support, right? Which is what that is. We're at 12.88 hex per dollar. The correlation heat map for the entire history of hex. And you read this from right across right versus the column, right? Hex T shares. And of course, there's going to be one. And then hex versus ETH, right? And then hex versus T share, or T share versus ETH, sorry, because we're reading across and then down. And both 20%. And again, 18% versus Bitcoin, both of them. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because they're all one, right? 1-to-1 with each other. And here we have a 21-day correlation, right? A rolling correlation. So this is like a 21-day moving average for the correlation, essentially. And as you guys have seen, we've broken down in price, and in essence, we've broken away from everyone else. So our correlation is lower. We're at 28% versus Bitcoin and 26% versus Ethereum. However, versus the T-share, we're at 1, and that's really what matters. Everything else is kind of ancillary, which is good at the end of the day. 55-day or 34-day is going to show less of a divergence in correlation, but we're still below 50% on both ETH and BTC. And a 55-day is going to be right at 50%. But we're tracking. We're not moving in line with that other market, so it's no surprise ultimately, right? And of course, the T-share to hex correlation is 1 for all time frames, and that's really what matters the most, right? And of course, it'll deviate from time to time, but it won't really impact the long-term performance. It'll always come back in line, and that's what matters. 26,814 hex, and then the last major change was 4.1. I mean, we had a higher one, right? But before then, it was really just that big one, right? And that was a function of a stake that I ended at that point in time. That was 1,100 days or so. And as you guys saw in that piece I wrote a few pieces ago, the T-share rate changes with respect to the age of the stake that is ending in the system and the gains that it's had, respectively. So if it's a big stake that's been in for a long time, you better believe it's going to cause one of these spikes, right? Whether it be 500, 300, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a big one, and it's not going to be down here anywhere. And that's kind of the point. T-share action. So this is the price of the T-share. And again, it's going to look just like the X chart. And the pick line is going to be the payout per T-share, right? And we had a 6.458 payout yesterday. Let me see if I can see what the payout was for today. 6.49. So again, not much of a difference. But it's cool. We of course will take it. And of course we like when there's EESs, but the EESs have been scant lately, and I got a chart for that, so we'll see that. Give me a second, guys. Just want to make sure I'm keeping an eye on you guys. And thank you for the super chat, T. Tom. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the spot 10. So payout in fiat terms is the blue line, right? And nothing fancy, just tracking. And as you guys see, it diverges a little bit with the EES, right? When we got an EES, it spikes in accordance with that. And here we have the average payout per t-shirt. And as of course, I have 21-day average, 34-day, 55-day, and the cumulative, which is the total average. And this is 5.158 for total as of yesterday. This is going to be higher today for sure. 6.54. I mean, all these averages are going to be higher because we had a higher actual result today. And it's kind of like I've outlined before, right? I mean, the pattern's similar, where it pops, resets, pops, resets, pops, resets, pops, right? It's doing the same thing over and over, which we'll take because we're getting paid over and over. And here's the chart to prove it. Every day you're going to see a hexagon. Basically, is what these are markers, and each marker is a hexagon, and each non-gap is a day where we get paid. And this has no gaps because we get paid every day because this works every day to the tune of 6,300, probably, what is it, 625 roundabout if you round up, total hex for one t-shirt since inception. So not too bad. Total change in t-shirts since the beginning of the bear market. Since the beginning of big payday actually. It's minus 826,000. So we're basically at all-time lows. Probably near the 10 million mark. I'm sure I got a chart on that somewhere in here. This is the cost of a t-share. This is the number of days to get 2 t-shares. This is the number of days to get at least t-share, 1 t-share, 3 t-shares for the price of a full one. Okay. So that's what this chart is showing. Here we got the average stake length, and it's up 6.9 because, of course, 6.89 because people are exiting the system from the stake side. And we'll see that. I got a couple of charts that highlight that as well. Here we have the holders increase. And of course, while everybody was expecting Pulsing to drop, instantly it was spiking up and then it curtailed. So no surprise there. We got charts to highlight the rates change there. And of course, staking is rolling over a tad bit. And here are the change in holders. And as you guys see, it went negative for a little bit. That red line is highlighting the 0 marker. So anything below there is negative. And that's happened a couple times before. So that's cool. It happens from time to time. They come back. It's cool. It's not many places to go. I mean, you guys got to understand that. Not many places to go. It's hard to find good trades out here. It really is. Change of stakers, right? Again, went negative during this period as well. And this is, of course, from day 1000 forward. So we're not even covering a long time here. We're only really covering a couple hundred days. So nothing crazy. And this is the all-time, the entire history. We are at 120,524 stakers versus only losing 35,636 stakers. So we're doing just fine. We're good. 4-1 is great. Here's the liquidity pool charts. HEX is at 52% as of yesterday. I'm going to guess it's probably near the same area because a little bit higher because the price is a little bit lower. USDC and ETH are probably a little bit higher. 52% was yesterday's reading versus 34 and 14 for USDC and ETH respectively for the liquidity pools. I'm not tracking any other coins, just those 3 here because those are really the ones that move the majority of the market. And here we have the ratio of both. And what's tracking is the pressure on HEX. So if this is going up, the yellow line, HEX is going down. If the red line is going down, HEX is going down. If it's going up, then the price is going up, which is what you're seeing here, right? At one point, this was just going up. But at one point, it was going down with the price. But of course, sometimes you're going to have divergences, right? Because this is ETH. The red one is ETH and the yellow one is USDC. So if the predominant buying is happening in the USDC pool, then that one is going to be predominantly up versus the red one. And this is the actual minute inflation. And again, this is just tracking, how many days since the end of big payday, right? I mean, I think we're at 900 days, right? Divided by 365, right? So what's that number? That number is 2.5 basically times 3.69. That would be the annual inflation. So 9.9, somewhere around there, right? But in fact, it's really 20, 30% less. Something to think about. And here's a chart showing the net payout per T-share, no penalty rewards, right? So for yesterday, it was 6.43 versus just zero point zero 0.02 penalty per T-share. And that's what we actually receive if you have a HEX, right? This is not including what the OA receives. This is just what you receive as a HEX holder. So this is why the payout per T-share was exactly as you saw in the, I guess, Twitter. If you follow the bots on Twitter, there's bots that report this stuff. And the white line, as you can see, is straight up and to the right, meaning less T-shares equals more payout for you. So the fact that we're out here trying to onboard people actually restricts what we each receive as individuals, showing how benevolent we are as individuals outright. Just want to throw that out there to kind of tap myself on the back. So just saying, this chart shows the rate changes, right, for the past, I guess, since the beginning of the bear market, which is now over clearly. But as you guys can see, the staking activity really doesn't push any weight on the rate changes, right? It's really just when the stakes end, because you had no, decreased staking activity here, but increased take changes, right? Rate changes, right? Increased rate changes with decrease staking activity, increased staking activity, increase rate changes, right? So consistently we have increased rate changes, regardless, up or down, and that's kind of the point. Thus, nullifying whether it's one or the other, thereby meaning it has to be the end staking, not whether people are staking more or less. So here we have the T-share versus market cap, and the T-share market cap versus the HEX market cap is approximately 46%, right? And we're right at 10 million. We're probably a little bit low today. You got to think we are, right? And as you guys see, the red line chart here kind of shows clearly versus the other one, which is showing the marker, that we really are at all-time lows. Prices nice and firm, and of course the T-share versus the X market cap. T-shares are performing, or not outperforming, but yeah, it is outperforming actually, because it's straight up. It's monotonic. It's up and to the right. And here we got the T-share market cap, which is all the T-shares multiplied by the price of a T-share, versus total value locked, which is the price of all HEX multiplied by the price of HEX. So all the HEX is staked multiplied by the price of HEX. That's what total value locked is, and that's at 4.33. So 4x essentially is the value of a T-share. So that's one way of thinking of it a T-share value as a future value versus a present value, right? Because clearly it's depressed versus what you would consider a T-share, just doing the basic math, versus the price of what's staked versus what's considered a T-share. I mean, that's pretty drastic, right? Something to think about. I mean, that's a delta right there of 4 times damn near. That's crazy. So here we got staked HEX per T-share at almost 6,200. And we got less shares in the system. So it makes sense, right, that we got less HEX staked. Staker retention, right, that keeps dropping. We know people are leaving. So 7.77. They'll be back if they're smart. Here we got this histogram chart. And this chart really was highlighting at the bottom that we were at the bottom. I mean, this is why I still show this chart. I mean, it was really obvious if you were looking at this chart back then. So hope you didn't miss it. And here is how the ROI in the staking system works, the APY, if you want to call it that. And we're right now in between 9 and 10, right? We're at 9.58. So that means we're earning approximately, I should probably throw a chart up for that. I don't know why I'm not doing that. I used to. So we're probably right at 38, 39, right, on average. So for right now at 9.58. So we're doing pretty good, right? But if that number, right, let's say HEX gets super popular and all of a sudden 40% of people are staked, whether it's short term, long term, doesn't matter. All of a sudden we're down to 10%, something to think about, 9%. So that's what happens. You know, that's what comes with virality, right? Virality, however you say that, virality, right? So something to think about, folks, as we're out here trying to promote the good word and onboard folks. Um, it's not for free. You know, we will pay the cost as well, and if that's what it takes, well, so be it. You know, hope everybody enjoyed the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Ran a little longer than I expected it to, but I did ramble on quite a bit about the velocity of money, because that's really important. You know, the fact that there's quote unquote all this demand for dollars and we can't see it because the prices of goods continue to skyrocket, that's a dangerous sign. And that's why I went through all that rigmarole to relay how serious of a sign it is. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace. Let's do this. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Hex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets it. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar Club told you.